And the gurus are back. So if you just listened to our podcast, which I hope you did, at the end I said we will be back 2 times a week. And that is true. There will be two, for sure, at least, sports-oriented podcasts a week. But what I didn't mention is there's going to be some of these additional videos on whatever we really want to talk about. It could be music. It could be reality television. It could be whatever we want. And this week, it's the latter. It's Big Brother, which is wrapping up. And we mentioned a few weeks ago, we didn't want to dive in the middle of the season. But guess what? We lied because we like to talk. We like to talk about Big Brother. We wanted to get our thoughts here recorded on the recent double eviction episode. And we're just going to go through the season retrospective a little bit, where the season could rank historically and where we think it could be going before finale night. And I teased last week that we will be doing a how to save the Big Brother franchise. We're going to push that to when the season ends. We're going to do like an official end of season thing and fix the franchise then. But for now, we're going to really dive into the season a little bit, particularly last night's double eviction and where things could be heading to the finale night. So, Mike, we both watched the double late. Of course, football takes precedent in our lives, but
yes,
we were able to catch up, and we know who won even the HOH afterwards, okay? But let's start at the beginning of the double. It's Kelly who goes home. She's the first boot of the double.
Lauren wins the blockbuster, which is
Lauren wins the blockbuster. Kelly is the boot. I think Lauren would have stayed either way because I think Vince is breaking that tie. I think somehow Lauren stays the first time. People might disagree with that, but I think Lauren was going to be able to finagle her way at least one more time. I think Vince had enough crying and whining that someone was going to go his way. But it's Kelly who gets axed. I was a little surprised by that, Mike. I'm not going to lie. I knew Vince wanted Kelly gone, but I thought given the opportunity with the tie,
yeah,
I thought it was a fine moment to take the shot across the bow. Mike, we'll get into it, but Vince is so worried about jury votes that he keeps
oh my gosh,
playing the most passive game ever. You know what? Juries don't like passive players, and somehow Vince has yet to figure that out. But Mike, Kelly goes inept casting. Okay, we'll talk about the cast later, but before
we even get into, you mentioned the jury thing. When Kelly walks into the jury house and say Vince broke a tie and kept Keanu the biggest target in the house, what's the jury going to say to that? What is Rachel and my guy Captain Will going to say about the passive game that Vince is playing, that he's going to keep Keanu with a chance to send out his biggest threat of the game, possibly, maybe outside of Morgan? He's going to keep him in the game. I mean, what is the logic there? He's so worried about the repercussion from the jury house. He's gonna like what? I didn't understand that. But
it's insane. But I think the jury house will be a little more upset because Kelly's walking through the door and they'll be like, her again?
Ugh.
And as I was saying a few minutes ago, bad casting. Look, fine player from no weeks on. She was bad on arrival, Mike. There was never a single point in this entire season where I thought she was an okay game player. And that's her legacy in the game. What do you think about how she was able to just last so long? She kind of got lucky with some blockbusters. The fact that blockbusters were a thing. B, the fact that they lasted so long.
Yeah.
So sure, that helps. But there was a few times where it looked like maybe she could break out in some way, like win an HOH, win a meaningful veto. She was just never able really to do that. She was just a mini game queen, and that was kind of her shelf life in this game.
Yeah, from week one, from the very first episode, she volunteers to go on the block after making a final two with said HOH, which was Vince. From that point on, I said, this girl has no idea what she's doing in this game. It did look like for a moment she kept winning her way off the block, winning her way off the block. That's the only competition she actually won. The only veto she won was when she competed with herself. She didn't win a single meaningful veto, did not win a single HOH. So she couldn't really do anything to the point where we were actually like, okay, where does she stand exactly? She was kind of just going with the wind, very sloppy, with the hey, I'll go up. And then if you volunteer twice, guess what? You're gonna go up 4 more times because it's just the easy. It's the one thing with this cast is if you go up once, they're not they are very scared of getting blood on their hands. I mean, prime example is Lauren, who put up Kelly, Adrian, and Will, and decided, these guys have already been up before, so let me just put them up again. So this cast, by and large, wants to put up the same people that have been up over and over and over again. So Kelly, to start the game off, volunteering like 2 weeks in a row to go on the block. Very sloppy game player, and evidently she didn't have a very good social game because The one time that she actually did stay on that couch, she went home. She won her way off the block all the other times, but the one time she remained on the block, they voted her out. I don't think people liked her, which is really the ultimate downfall in her game.
And I'm all for having pawns. I think this season had far too many of them, but I'm fine with having pawns. And I think they serve their purpose, and I think you need like that quirky pawn that can compete at an adequate level, and I think Kelly was that. So I don't think she's like the most insulting cast member I've ever seen by any means. But I think it was just this ineptitude of like, she mentioned with Julie that she likes to tick people off. She likes to be an agitator, right? And she knows she's annoying. That's all well and good, but if you're playing a game for $750,000, you would think at one point you would read the room a little bit and either A, use that agitation to your advantage, or B, maybe take it a step back. And I think Kelly's problem was she was annoying in a social sense, not a game sense. And to me, that is one of the biggest cardinal sins you can have in the Big Brother house. And so I wasn't upset to see her go, and I think it was only a matter of time. I think it was impressive that she stayed as long as she did, for sure.
Very impressive, yeah.
But it was just annoying that at some point, like, it never amounted to anything. Because there were times she had openings to kind of make a move here or there, to use something to her advantage here or there. And it was just this need for chaos that no one else really thought was chaotic. It was just...
Right.
She thought it was chaotic. She thought it was doing something when in reality it was just an annoyance that had no actual implications.
Well, remember, her goal this episode, they edited it to where she was like, I'm just going to try and pin Keanu and Vince against each other. That was her like strategy. And ultimately, it comes right to fruition. Vince has a chance to break a tie and save her against the aforementioned Keanu, and he doesn't do it. So ultimately, her strategy of, instigating things and telling Vinny things that Keanu said and telling Keanu things that Vince said, it didn't work because they wanted to kick you off and stay with each other. It's very, so her strategy, which wasn't much this year as far as her strategy, didn't ultimately work, and it got her booted in the tie vote that Vinny sent her home with.
Right. And moving on from Kelly, because I think there was writing on the wall that Kelly was going to be at least one of these evictions tonight.
Yeah.
And I was just surprised the way it happened, but again, she had to go. She was taking up space. I think other people in the house realized that Kelly was being kept around as this lottery ticket, where if you could somehow drag her carcass to the final two, that
no one
would be the
win.
victor.
Yes.
Anyone against her would win. Does not matter who it is. Anyone against her would win. So I think that's why she was around a few extra weeks. But at some point, that's almost a disadvantage to some people where they're like, okay, but
that means you're going to take her over me. I need to get her out.
Right, exactly. That means that you are being pushed aside for this person that no one likes because they can be a guaranteed goat to the final two. Right. So, again, it was going to happen sooner rather than later. I'm just surprised it took so long. But the second half of the double, Morgan wins a competition that had me just pulling my hair out, because how many times do these people have to chuck the ball so far that it like shoots off the back of the ramp before they realize you can just roll it a little lighter? It was honestly inconceivable that even Morgan, I didn't think, did this competition that well.
She was just the least of the
it was the least egregious. It was a tough watch. Morgan wins. I thought she was going to win the entire time as soon as I saw her form and the way everyone else was doing the competition. She wins. She puts up Keanu and Lauren, which is, again, pretty obvious given the state of the house. But
it's
Mike,
the exact same nominations as Vinny's, which are basically Morgan's nominations. So it was Keanu, Lauren, and Kelly. One of them walked out the door, and Morgan says, "Okay, well, the two of you that were just up, go right back up." It was basically her nominations back-to-back weeks.
But here's my problem with this, Mike. Is everyone tells me that Keanu is the biggest threat in the house, right? Everyone tells me that, okay? Why wouldn't Morgan put up Lauren and Ava for eviction? Because Lauren is obviously the target, right? Morgan has this vendetta against Lauren. It is obvious. It is all over Vince. God knows why. It's ridiculous. But regardless, that's where we're at, okay? So she wants Lauren out. That much is clear. She puts up Keanu next to Lauren. Okay, that's fine. But Morgan and Keanu kind of had this weird business relationship the last few weeks where Morgan was kind of misting Keanu a little bit and kind of using him as like her heavy, basically, for lack of a better term. And even when Vince put up Keanu, Morgan was like, yeah, I didn't love that, like she kind of tried to tell Keanu, like, hey, like, don't necessarily associate that with me, like, we're good, we're good. Just because Vince did that doesn't mean we're doing that, and we want you to stay 100%, and Keanu does stay. So therefore, Morgan's word looks great in that moment. Okay,
Right.
Here's my problem. Here's the problem. If Lauren and Ava were the two nominees, they could have backdoored Keanu because he wouldn't have been gunning for that veto nearly as hard. And sure, there will people out there will be like, okay, well, he was going to win either way. I still think there's no stat for this in sports and Big Brother. There's something about winning when your back is against the wall.
Yep.
And we saw it with the blockbuster. Did you notice that Keanu didn't really look like he was that interested in winning that blockbuster? No. He really didn't look like he was that into it. Right? I think that's fair to say. He was competing, he was trying, but he didn't have the urgency that even Kelly
He was going pretty slow. He
was going fairly slow. He didn't change up his method once. Again, Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. He was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It was not working. I still think that there's something to be said about winning when you have to win. And what happens, Mike? He wins the veto when he has to. And part of that is Morgan throws out a disgusting number. I think she was baiting him to go high, which is
I don't know.
fine.
We have a different opinion on this.
We'll get to that in a second. I've seen some theories that she wanted him to win. Okay. But to me, I think this would have been a great time to take Keanu out because I think her personal grudge against Lauren clouded the judgment of who actually is the best threat in the house, which is still Keanu.
That we agree. Yes.
I don't know if it's them disrespecting his win equity, which I think at this point has only risen with that veto win, with the fact that he stayed again, he survived a vote, so that shows house allegiance in some fashion, which he didn't have throughout the season. Okay. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it was purely emotional, which I have a feeling it was. I don't know if it was this idea that Ava is now kind of a free agent now that she's without Lauren. She's an extra number. Now it's kind of 4-on-1 against Keanu, and they can, make the final four. And Morgan, looking around at that landscape, she'll take her and Vinny over Ashley and Ava in any competition, literally anything. And she knows at this point, I think Morgan, that Vince has burned so many bridges that perhaps Morgan taking Vince is the right move after all. She can beat him in a final two fairly easily. I think all those things can be said. But Mike, you know who the biggest threat to all that is? It's still Keanu. It's not even close. And because he's still around, and because she didn't really show an urgency to get him out, but put him up anyway, I think that's dangerous. I really think that's dangerous. Because now Keanu can kind of work his gears. And look, he's not an influential person per se, but I think he can at least make an argument to Ashley in particular, like, hey, we need to stay together. And Ashley will at least hear him out now. Perhaps even Ava will see the writing on the wall with the Vince Morgan thing. I just think the Lauren decision, although I understand it, and it was a means to an end, I thought that was the prime chance to get Keanu out. And Mike, I believe what you're going to pitch right now is that she let him win the veto?
Absolutely.
Crazier?
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe that the target was Lauren. And when she realized that it was her and Keanu as the final two, grab your boards, I was like, okay. I think she wanted Lauren to go home over Keanu. I think that obviously Vince wanted Lauren to stay and Keanu to go home and lose. But for Morgan's game, I believe, and I don't think that she's right in assuming this, if I'm right and she wanted Lauren to go home, I believe that she wanted Lauren to go home. I do not think she wanted Lauren surviving the double eviction and having the Lauren and Vince thing be a threat to her game. That's what I believe. What I believe that she should have been assuming is do not let Keanu survive the double eviction. You have to send him home. He has to go home under any circumstance. You cannot let him survive the double. Now there's 5 people left. 2 of them are incompetent in challenges. One of them, Vince, is crying half the time. And then you obviously, Morgan, being Morgan, since she won the double eviction HOH, she now can't compete in the final 5 HOH. So you're really putting it out there for Keanu. All Keanu has to do is really beat Vince to win the HOH because Ashley and Ava are totally incompetent in competition. So you're basically giving Keanu a free ride potentially to final 4. Why would you not take him out in double eviction? That's the prime time to take him out. Now, of course, he wins the veto. Would he have won the veto had he not been put up initially? Maybe not. And they were talking about that before they went to commercial break. Morgan was like, do I put him up initially or do I backdoor him? Blah, blah, blah. I think that her target all along was Lauren. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what she says post, season if she confirms it or not. But I think that once she realized that Lauren was not winning the veto, she wasn't gunning for it as hard. There's no way you would put 2 minutes down as an answer. That is so ridiculous. Considering she's thinking about it the whole time and she puts down 120 seconds for the wall comp. The wall comp, they're out there for almost an hour. And she puts 2 minutes on there. Come on.
A few things, Mike. So I believe, I'm almost positive, it's closest without going over. So there is a world, Price is Right rules. You just put down a low time because you don't know. You don't want to overshoot. And you think it's
2 minutes
advantageous to undershoot. Well, that's what you do. You put like 1 second, even if it's 2 minutes. What's the difference between 1 sec, 2 minutes? You're still doing the exact same thing. You're doing the same method. So there's that. As far as the target specificity is concerned, I got that out. I don't know if she necessarily cared who went home, but I think the desire of sending Lauren packing on her HOH was just too good to pass up in that moment. So I think that there is some logic there.
Also, if Keanu wins the veto, there's no blood on Morgan's hands. It's not like Morgan wins the veto and dictates what to do with it. Keanu won it, took himself off the block, and then boom. You're not going to send Ava home.
The casting vote.
So It almost makes it, exactly. With the way it went, it actually was perfect for Morgan if this was her plan all along for Lauren to go home because Keanu won the veto. Well, what can you do? He won the veto. You put Ava up and Lauren goes home and it's like, whoops, sorry, Lauren went home. But if that's what she intended to do, then that was actually the better route was to have him win the veto because then if he doesn't win the veto, say Morgan wins the veto and it's Keanu and Lauren sitting up there, then you run the risk of, what if Keanu goes home and then Lauren stays and she's pissed at you or whatever. There's no running the risk if Ava's on the block. No one's sending Ava home because she's incompetent and can't really do anything and a lone wolf at this point. She's a free agent. She just lost Kelly and Will. And now she just lost Lauren. So she's basically on a dying ship at this point in time. So, of course, you're going to drag her to Final Four. And then you can do whatever you want with her at that point. But I don't know what her target was. I'm inclined to believe it was Lauren. But just because of the jealousy thing, I think she's genuinely does not want Lauren sticking around. Keanu, maybe they don't think he has win equity. But to let him stick around past the double eviction is mind-blowing to me as someone who's rooting for Keanu. So I'm glad that they didn't send him home. But I'm shocked that this cast is so inept to leave the biggest target in the game to Final Five. This is not the time to leave big targets in the game. This is the time to leave Ava's and Kelly's in the game. Leave the pawns in the game. Leave the Victorias to make a BB16 reference. Leave those people in the game. Do not leave out the big Keanus who can win all these comps and win their way to Final Two. That is a mind-numbing decision, I believe.
So, Mike, we have to fast forward to what happens next for my next commentary because I think this is incredibly important, and then we'll go retrospective here. So, what happens next is, and this is spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead on this video, but Vince wins the HOH because, of course, he does. It's a pressure cooker comp. Yep. Ashley and Ava are gone instantaneously.
Immediately.
And it's Keanu and Vince. And it looks like it's going to go a while. And then it's very clear to me and many of the people watching this that Keanu, whether he didn't want to win or felt complacent with Vince winning, it doesn't really matter because it was evident he wasn't really taking it that seriously. He was chatting Vince up the entire time.
Oh, gosh. Chatterbox.
He was just, talking about life. Like, hey, bro, like, I'm so happy we're here, bro. Like, can you believe it's just us two, bro? And, I wish we could have spent all this time together, bro. Like, can you imagine? Lot of bros, right? And he loses because he's not paying attention, and he loses. And the pressure cooker, as much as his endurance, as much as it's just mentally draining, you have to focus. And when you're talking at that pace and, just trying to think of your next thought, you're going to naturally lose focus. And that's why, whether it was intentional or not, it sure seemed like it. And regardless if it was or wasn't, he wasn't putting his best effort forward. That's clear. Vince wins. Okay. And Mike, this is where I'm going to go back, and I haven't seen anyone make this take. I'm going to make this take here right now. No one's made this yet. Not that I've seen. Keanu messed up voting out Lauren, and here's why. Here's why he messed up big time voting out Lauren.
I agree, actually.
Morgan puts up Keanu and Lauren. Okay? Keanu wins the veto. Keanu goes down. Ava goes up. For the last few weeks, it seemed like Lauren was aware that Keanu had win equity and he was a threat. She was very aware of this. She was close to him, but in her mind, he was the biggest threat in the house, which I think
to her,
is
yes.
honestly correct. I think that's a correct evaluation. I think Keanu beats everyone easily except Morgan, would be my take right now. Easily. That includes Ashley, who has friends on the jury. I think Keanu still beats everyone easily except Morgan as of right now. Okay? That includes Lauren, and that's why this is important. So Keanu knows he's the swing vote because he knows Vince, no matter how scummy that boy is, he's not voting out his girl, okay? It's not happening. So he knows it's 1-1. He knows he's the deciding vote. Here's the problem. If he votes out Ava, there's an extra competitor in the house in Lauren. But what does that mean for Keanu? Morgan clearly does not like Lauren. Ashley has clearly not really vibed with Lauren to an extent throughout the season. They clearly like each other on a personal level, but on a game level, it's never meshed, okay? You have an extra shield in the house. You are clearly the biggest target still, probably, but you at least have someone adjacent to you that is now on your side. And that's what lost me, because I truly believe that Lauren would have turned on Vince. I know people will not believe that.
I do too.
I understand. But when Lauren was up again, a second time, and she had the potential to go home, and Vince was doing nothing to stop it. Sure, he voted for her to stay, but he really looked complacent in the entire effort. She not only was put up by Vince, she was put up by Morgan, back to back within an hour, basically.
Literally.
So it's one of those things where I think at that point, the gear would have actually flipped for Lauren. And I thought I saw it in real time. I really did. I thought
the light bulb going off in her head in real time. Yeah, I think it did.
I thought that she was ready to kind of play Big Brother. And boy, did it take long enough. and sure, she would have been an extra competitor for Keanu to have to beat in HOH comps. But if Lauren's still there, I think Keanu could have had a great chance to win that pressure cooker, if not Lauren. And then maybe Keanu goes up either way, okay? But at least he's going up next to a Vince. At least he's going up next to a Morgan. Lauren wins, okay? Yep. Now it's going to be Keanu and Ava. He has no chance to survive that if he doesn't win veto. No chance.
No chance.
But if it was Vince, there's a world where they could have split that vote some way, like Ashley could have affected with Ava.
Yeah.
Or it would have just been Ashley, because Ava would have been out. They could have split that vote somehow, and Lauren could have sent Vince back. There's a world where that happens, for sure. There's a world where Ashley realizes Morgan's getting too much win equity now after the double eviction, and realizes, hey, I got to pull whoever off the block, and then Morgan's going to go up, and we have to get Morgan out. There's so many more avenues if Lauren's in the house
to get to the final two.
Yeah. Whereas now,
you have
the only avenue is winning out. That's it.
Win there. Yeah.
So now was a game crippling move, Mike. I really do.
But to go to your point, because you hit all the major points. Now he has set himself up to now where he has to win veto. If he does not win veto, he is going to go home. They are not going to keep him over Ava. They're not that stupid of a cast. We don't believe. They're not going to leave the biggest threat in the house in Final Four. So he has to win veto, or he's going to be a fifth place boot. Whereas if you keep Lauren in the house, Morgan can't compete for the pressure cooker. So you have Lauren winning, or Vince winning, or maybe he wins it. Maybe he's focused and wins it. But either way, you would have Lauren going after Morgan. You would have Morgan still going after Lauren, possibly, if that was indeed her target the entire time. And you would basically sabotage Morgan's HOH. On Morgan's HOH for Ava to go home, a number for Morgan, not for Keanu. Ava is not a number for Keanu. Ava is a number for Morgan. Who just used the veto on Ava in Wednesday's episode? Morgan did. So who is Ava loyal to right now? Morgan. So all this is benefiting Morgan, not Keanu. Keanu keeping Ava only benefits one person, not him. It's Morgan. So ultimately, if he keeps Lauren, you keep that Lauren versus Morgan dynamic in there, whereas Vinny's still crying over both of them. You can sneak your way to the final two without having to win your way to the final two. Now, there is no other path. I know he's in good with Ashley. They have this. They're in good cahoots right now. And maybe he just wanted to vote with Ashley and send out, Lauren. But right now, that move is beneficial to Ashley and Morgan, not his own personal game. Maybe he still wins his way to final 2, and that's entirely possible. If he wins the veto with his back up against the wall, we've just seen it happen literally last night. I wouldn't put it past him. But then you have to win the HOH or the veto in final 4. You have to win one of the 2 comps there. And then you have to win the HOH in final 3. No one's taking Keanu to final 2 with them. We don't imagine they're that stupid. But he's left his path very, very difficult. He has to win out, and he has to do it now against Morgan and Vinny, who are 2 pretty darn good competitors to go up against.
Compared to this cast, yeah.
Compared to the rest of the cast, sure. But you have Ava in there, you have Ashley in there. I mean, you can beat those 2 for sure, but you have to beat Morgan in a veto, and she's been really good in vetoes. I know he just beat her, but there's rumblings. Did she throw it? Maybe, who knows? But either way, there is no more escaping a nomination. You're going up against Ava, who is the literal GOAT of the season. No one's voting out Ava if you're sitting next to her. So be careful, Keanu. Win the veto, or you're going home.
Few thoughts here. I think my biggest problem with Keanu is, for some reason, he thinks he's good with Morgan and Vince. And there's no evidence to support that notion. You were just put on the block by Vince, and guess what? Spoiler, hasn't happened yet, but it's gonna.
It's gonna happen again.
You're gonna be put on the block again by Vince.
By Vince.
It's gonna happen again. The only way that this decision makes any sense whatsoever, and I don't think it'll happen at all, but there's a 1% chance it happens, is if Ashley... Let's say it's this would probably have to be like one of those board comps, like a counting comp.
Right.
You look at the screen, something happens, something along those lines, a mental comp, right?
Yeah.
Ashley wins the veto and takes off Keanu. And
That
then Vince has no choice
to put up Morgan.
but to put up Morgan. And then all of a sudden, Vince just sent home Morgan and effectively sealed Lauren's fate by not being able to convince Morgan that she wasn't a threat. So not only do you lose Lauren, you lose Morgan, and then all of a sudden Vince's game, I don't know what his cell is anymore. Regardless of, in that situation, there's no alternative. It's not like you could put someone else up. You can't protect your number 2 in that situation. So
right.
I understand that part, but when it's all said and done, it's Keanu making another move, and then all of a sudden he's the alpha. He's the one that can compete with Ava and Ashley. He'd be a massive favorite in that, no matter what it is, right? And all of a sudden, Keanu has the path to the end. So if he's able to miss Ashley or Ava to somehow do that, okay, then all of a sudden this move looks a little different. Just there's no likelihood of that happening.
There's no likelihood of him convincing Ashley to do that. And there's also a very low likelihood that Ashley actually wins the veto. What if she won? What if she even?
But Mike, if it's Lauren, all of a sudden that's totally different. Lauren could be misted into doing that.
You have a person in your corner who's good at winning comps.
Yes, she could be convinced that Morgan is
and Vinny
such a threat. Yes, and get rid. And then all of a sudden, if you're Keanu, sure, competing against Lauren and
it's tough.
Ashley is much more difficult than competing against Ashley and Ava. Sure, I understand that completely. But you're going to have to beat someone good in a comp. You're going to have to. So,
anyways, don't think long term. Yeah, you got to think right now, okay, who would benefit me to getting to final 4, getting to final 3? So you have to think short term. You have to beat someone in the final 3 anyways. You have to go through a Morgan or a Vince or a Lauren potentially anyway. So
and I think Ashley and Morgan, I think Lauren and Morgan are similar level competitors. So I understand it from that sphere. But again, you're going to have to beat one of them anyway. So it's one of those things where there was a path here, an obvious path to get out Ava and subsequently try to take that shot at Morgan. And he failed miserably at it. So if you're rooting for Keanu, which both of us are, because this is what we're left with. We have no one else to root for.
Literally one person.
I just think he lost the game yesterday. And it sucks. And like you said, he could win out. He could do a Jag. Jag basically won out. That's how he won.
Yeah, we can win out.
It's happened. Rachel, in a way, really did win out when she won.
And BB, really, she essentially went out. Yeah, little Pandora's box luck in there, but she did essentially win out.
Yeah, she essentially went out. So it's happened before, but it just feels like...
Well, actually... No, actually, she actually got saved. They actually booted out Jordan in Final 4 over Lauren, or over Rachel. But she basically did win out. Yes,
but even then,
yeah.
Even then, it helped that she, was winning in between, right? And Keanu got saved too. So
For sure.
it's a very similar thing.
Yeah, very similar thing.
So I think the season lost its spark. I don't know what the next interesting part could be. The only good thing that could happen now is Vince and Morgan turning on each other, but even then, like, it's not a telenovela. Like, I just don't really care at that point, you know? So as far as the rest of the season's trajectory, where are you at? Because we're going to watch. There's not that much left. There's
the finale,
days, right?
The finale is next Sunday.
Yeah, so only a few days.
Yeah.
So where are you at right now? The rest of the season?
I believe, and I adjusted my odds last night. I had Lauren and Morgan as co-favorites to win the whole thing. Obviously, Morgan just got out her biggest competitor, in my eyes, to win the show. I believe Morgan is the prohibited favorite at this point. The only way she doesn't win the show is if Keanu wins out, which is daunting, but he's got to win a veto at Final 5. He's got to win an HOH or a veto at Final 4. He's got to then win the 3-part HOH at the Final 3 to win himself to Final 2. Because I don't believe that she will take him with her to Final 2.
No way.
So that means that she's going up against Ashley, who she just has a better game than, Vince, who she basically has control of all of his HOH, and then Ava. So at this point, Morgan's the heavy favorite. And I'll real quick just to recap, because there's 5 people left, and we know Vinny won HOH, and we know that the only path that Morgan goes home on his HOH is the thing that you just mentioned: Ashley winning veto, taking Keanu off, and then they can actually backdoor Morgan on the HOH of Vince. But that's maybe 1% chance. I mean, what would we put that at? Like 1% chance of actually happening. So it looks like Morgan is Final 4 bound. We already know Vince is Final 4 bound. I don't envision a world where Ava goes home, unless maybe if Keanu wins veto, would they save Ashley over Ava? They probably would, because Keanu is in good with Ashley, so he would vote out Ava, and then Morgan would not vote out the other judge.
But even then, Vince might be able to convince Keanu that Ashley's the better player. Ava's a GOAT anyway.
He may be able to.
And obviously, I think Keanu would see the landscape. I was playing Morgan and Ava. That's not that bad. Like, I think he'd be fine with that. Whereas at least Ashley has a pulse. Ava doesn't really
have a pulse.
So.
No. I can see. Yeah. Either way, it appears that the Final 4 in some respect will be Vinny, Morgan, and then whoever wins.
Two other people.
Then 2 other people. Who cares? But it looks like we're setting ourselves up for a Vinny Morgan, at least in the Final 2, I believe. And I believe Morgan is the prohibited favorite. Is my guess for how the season concludes.
I think there's only 3 people that can win. And Mike, here's my biggest problem with the whole Lauren thing. There's this propaganda about, because she didn't sit on the block the whole time, that if she got to finale night without sitting on the block, she'd be an instant winner. Probably should be like that, right? And I think there is some merit. I think there is some merit that Lauren could have easily won if that continued to be true.
It would suggest that she had a good social game, which I don't think she really did. But.
No, not really. But the second she was put up on the block, Mike, all of a sudden that stat goes out the window. So what's the point of getting at Lauren? Because if they were aware at all, she had no win equity. She's not the GOAT that Ava is. She's not the blatant GOAT, okay?
She also can't talk herself to $500,000 or $750,000. If you were in the Final 2 with Lauren, she wouldn't really be able to articulate her game. Which,
like, this is a callback. Do you remember Sam had like 5 opportunities in Survivor to beat Rachel? He had so many opportunities to like stamp his moment and either like get her out or just win a meaningful competition that could have propelled him, okay? And Operation Italy, if Rachel doesn't win the veto, she's gone. Not the
immunity. She goes
the
home.
immunity necklace. She's gone.
That was going to be on her. That would have fell back on her. Yeah.
And even with all of that, it was so evident that Rachel was going to win that season because, again, Sam could not win a meaningful competition. Even with all of that, because Sam had one of the best speeches you will ever hear in reality TV.
Final trial.
Even though the vote was very lopsided, because again they were able to kind of go through the mist and it wasn't close, right? He was at least able to make them ponder. He was at least able to make them. All of them said after that they were like, we really thought about it. Like we went in thinking one thing, and it was so convincing that we actually had to think about it.
Consider
and imagine if it was closer than what it was. That was my point to that. Imagine if Sam won that extra 1 or 2 competitions. Imagine if it was closer. The gap was closer. That could have been a game-winning speech. Okay.
Yeah.
Now transition that to Big Brother. If Ashley won an extra HOH or veto here, all she needs is 1. That's it. If she took Lauren to the Final 2, she's waxing Lauren because she's outspeaking her 100%. It's a lawyer against a 22-year-old that can't get a thought across. Okay, it's a wrap.
Man. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. If it's against Keanu, that's not a discussion because, as I mentioned, Keanu's beating anyone except Morgan.
Not named Morgan. Yes.
If it's Vince, okay, Vince,
the jury might not
very
like him.
well.
The jury might not like him.
They wouldn't like him. And Mike, he's a slimy talker.
Very slimy.
So he can talk, but there's this inauthenticity to it.
They may see through
car
it.
salesman, you know what I mean?
They may see through that
kind of vibe where someone's trying to sell you on something that you're not believing, but you kind of have to deal with it, right? And as far as Morgan, I think Morgan should be self-aware enough that she was going to beat Lauren. And then Ava, I think Lauren beats Ava, but again, it's close because she can't talk, and Ava's kind of funny and spunky and whatever words you want to use, and
I guess
whatever. So we just went through that exercise, okay? Lauren didn't really have a great shot.
Much win equity, no.
Prize. So that's what makes this whole thing baffling for me with Keanu, but also Morgan, because I think the winning out thing, although it's a long shot, is still a real possibility. I think Morgan is good with every single person left except now Keanu, right? And here's my point. She wouldn't have been good with Lauren either, but Morgan would have had the votes if Lauren put her up. That's the problem.
Yes.
But now, because Lauren upset Keanu, that in turn...
Morgan's upset with Keanu.
That in turn puts a bigger fire in Keanu and more of a resilience to try to get Morgan out, where I think even if Lauren pitched that to Ava doesn't really have influence. I think Ava would have fell in line with Morgan again. I really do. But now even Ashley might be seeing things a little bit differently now. Now that there isn't this house pariah in Lauren. Whereas Keanu, he is a threat. He's still a visual threat, but he's a little more outward spoken. He can't really get stuff done, but he's much more active than Lauren.
Yeah.
So the possibility of him getting something done is much higher. So that's where I'm like, I think everyone managed to botch this somehow. I think everyone has managed to botch this except Ashley, but I don't know if she's done enough for that to matter.
I don't think that she really had anything to botch per se. I mean, I here's how I would say it. I think Morgan made a emotional decision in targeting Lauren. I don't know if targeting Lauren was actually best for her game. I agree. I think targeting Keanu would have been best for her game because it's the only person she's really not in good with outside of Lauren, who we don't think has that much win equity, really. I think she was most worried about being in a final three with Vince and Lauren and knowing that they would take each other no matter what.
She was worried about the movie-esque ending of
and
Vince wins.
We're half of the movie. She's worried about the end of the movie when we're not even at the
Vince wins and he looks around. He's looking at Morgan. He's looking at Lauren. Who does he take? Find out next time on Days of Our Lives. That's what she was worried about. When in reality, hey, maybe
it's final
worry
six
about your next HOH. Maybe
how
that's
about
what you should be worried about?
How about final six? Maybe get out the biggest target in the house. It's final. You're the HOH on final six. Get out Keanu. She didn't do it. He wins the veto, so it's a moot point. But I tend to believe that she was totally fine with Lauren going home. And I don't know if that's the best for her game. I still think she's a front runner because I don't think it's best for Keanu's game either. And he kind of just, adhered to Morgan's HOH, which is like, okay, I guess Morgan wants Lauren gone, so I'll just get Lauren gone. The best move for Keanu's game would have been getting Ava out and keeping a big target in the house for him. But this cast is stupid. So do we expect anything else? I mean, not really. This is exactly how it's gone the whole year. The cast has botched so many of these vote outs. I mean, I can go back to the Adrian vote where Vince botched that. He literally got out one of his targets and kept Will in the house, who was never working with him. Will never once was working with Vinny the Lip at any point. He's like, I'm just going to vote out an ally of mine, Adrian. So there's been so many vote outs this year that made no sense. This is just on par with that. It's magnified because it's late season, but overall, it's a rough cast. It's a rough cast. They don't know what they're doing.
Lauren putting up Adrian and then crying that he left, just stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's awful. But there's 5 people left. Let's quickly go through. Front runner's obviously Morgan, right? That's not even a debate at this point.
Nope.
Number 2, I think, is where this gets really fun. I think I'd lean Keanu because I think his ability to win out is better than anyone's social ability at this point.
I think I agree. I think I had Morgan, and then I had followed by Morgan. I actually had Vince, but I think that here's why I had Vince. I switched it because he won the HOH. So we know Vince is in the Final Four. We know that the only way Keanu can get to Final Four is if he wins veto. So he's got a 1 in 5 chance of getting to Final Four. So I believe Vince has a more clear path to Final 2, which is why I would rate him higher on my list than Keanu. I do have Keanu 3. but that's simply because I think that there's more avenues for Vince. I do think that Keanu has more win equity over Vince. I think if if Keanu's sitting in those final two chairs, I think we know he probably wins the game, unless he's sitting next to Morgan, in which I don't think. In what world would that end up happening where he sits next to Morgan? But nonetheless, I think if he's sitting next to Vince, I think he wins. I think he's sitting next to Ashley or Ava, he wins. If I had to bet right now, my hunch would be he does not make it to the final two chairs. I believe Morgan gets her way, gets to the final. So I think that she will drag Vince there with her. It seems like she's going to drag Vince. She's like head over heels with Vince for some reason. There's this mist with Vince that she just can't escape. And I do think at this point it's turned. I actually had Vince as the front runner, and then I watched an HOH of his be completely botched and literally ran up by Morgan. Morgan was upstairs the entire. She was essentially the HOH without She was the only thing she did not do was turn the keys. That's what he did. But she essentially was the HOH. She heisted his HOH, and then she won the HOH in the double. And then now Vince's HOH again. She's probably going to heist this one too. So I think that it's Morgan 1, Vinny 2, Keanu 3. And then do we even have to spend time on 4 and 5? I mean, you could flip those.
I think Ashley has at least a sliver of winning.
She has a chance to win the game.
I think she's so in with the draw. I think Ava's the clear fifth. And I think if this was a pie chart, I think Morgan has the most win equity.
Yeah.
Followed by Keanu. I'd actually say followed by Ashley and then Vince.
You're right. Yeah. Ashley got better. Yeah.
Yeah. I think with Vince, the more I thought about it, sitting here talking now, the only person I could see him beating is Ava. That's it.
Yeah,
you see him beating anyone else?
No, I don't think that he would beat Ashley. I think Ashley's just better with the jury. I think they like her more.
Yeah.
I think they would read through Vince's car salesman-y pitch. I don't think he can beat Morgan. No, if Keanu wins the
obviously not beating Keanu.
No, he wouldn't. He would have to beat Ava. Why would he drag Ava? He's actively in his HOH right now. Is going to send Ava home if Keanu wins the veto. So he's going to get rid of the only person he can beat in the final two, assuming Keanu is able to win the veto. Ava will go home, I believe. Right? I mean, that's.
So I think if you're looking at it this way, Morgan beats 3 people, can beat Keanu. Keanu can beat 3 of these people and can beat Morgan. Okay. Ashley can beat 2 of these people. I think she'd be competitive
against.
She'd be competitive with Keanu only because her relationship with the jury, maybe she can sour them on Keanu, even though I think she loses that for sure. Vince can only beat 1 person. I think perhaps he can be competitive with Ashley for sure. He's not going to be competitive with Morgan or
Keanu.
Thank you. And then Ava is last. I think that's where we're at right now. So I think Morgan, Ashley, and Keanu are the clear front runners right now towards a win equity standpoint. And Vince, I think, can be there by far the easiest of anyone. I think he has.
He's got final twos up to. Yeah, he can get there. Can he win?
He can easily get there. I don't even know what the path to him winning looks like because, again, if he has to take Ava for a win, that suggests cutting Morgan at some point.
Morgan lose, yeah. He almost needs Ava to win the final HOH and take him, which is never going to happen.
Would they respect that? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's the only respectable thing he can do to prove that she wasn't running his game.
Right.
But at the same time, she was running his game, and they know that?
Yeah, they know that.
I don't know.
That's the thing. So I would say Rachel's going to have a lot of power over the jury and how the jury thinks because she's played the game 3 times and won the game, and she's been a juror all 3 times now. Or she's been a juror twice and won the game once. So she's gotten to this stage of the game every time. I think that whatever game she respects the most, is going to hold a lot of weight. She's in there with Captain Will right now. She's in there with Captain Will. She's in there with now Lauren. So I think that those people will just defer to what does Rachel think? What does she think is the best game? Who's running the game? And on Rachel's exit interview, she said that she respects Keanu's game the most because he's had to fight for his life in the game every week essentially. And between Vinny and Morgan, who can explain their game the best at the end? Who made the decisions? I think right now it's clear to us watching at home that it's been Morgan. Ashley, I know Rachel's in good with her, but I think even Rachel would acknowledge she's a bit of a floater in this game. She's in alliances for sure. She's not necessarily the ones calling the shots in the alliance, but she's not the Casey of Big Brother 20, where she was in the 6 alliance the whole season, but she won down the stretch when she had to, because that season obviously Tyler was running the game and he made all the decisions, him and Angela to a degree. But then Casey was the one winning the comps and not getting the blood on her hands. Ashley's not getting any blood on her hands like Morgan and Vince are, but she's also not winning comps, so she's not really dictating anything in the house right now. So I would say that, to me, getting to the final 2 chairs. Can Ashley get there? Sure. And she's a lawyer, so can she talk her way to a $750,000? Sure. But you do have to win something along the way to win the money. And maybe that means cutting Morgan at the final 3. I don't know. But she has to make a big move. And there's one big move that's just completely lacking on her resume right now. And she can't get to the final 2 with Keanu. She'd have a chance, but you'd have to get rid of Keanu and to earn the jury's respect. You have to get rid of the biggest target. You can't bring the biggest target to final 2 with you. That's not how you win the game. Ask Cody in Big Brother 16. You just brought Derek to the final 2 with him. You can't win the game that way. So there's still things left there's still things left on the resume for people to fill out. But we're running out of time right now. So, I mean, who knows? I think it's Morgan by a landslide, because at this point right now, the only guarantees in the final 2 are her and Vinny. Those are the only guarantees in the final 4. And then, she can compete next week in the HOH. So, to me, it's Morgan's game to lose at this point.
I think Vinny's only argument, and I test drove this theory last year, and I knew it was never really right, but I wanted it to be right so bad because I thought it would be one of the smartest things ever on reality television. Cam was terrible last year. He was awful. He couldn't win a comp. He was a good guy, but he wasn't really a great social player.
Not really.
And I thought if he made it to the end, there was a world he could win, and everyone thought I was crazy. And I said, hold on, wait a second. What if his pitch was this? I was a...
Damn it. We lost the mic. No. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You can hear me? Oh, dear. They cut us off because we were talking about Cam. They said, oh, you guys talking about Cam? Cut you off. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Nope. Can't hear you. Oh, gosh. Not the reload. What did we do? No. Let's see. See if I can read lips here. Can you hear me? No, I cannot. Nope. Oh, man. What did they do? Was it really the anti-Cam agenda that was being spewed? Do I have to leave and come back, maybe? Do I have to unmute myself?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
I'm getting a new mic for Christmas. It's happening. Sick of this. It's not the mic, it's the cord, because this cord is like the original USB.
Yeah.
And it's just so fragile. So I can't deal with this anymore. But anyway.
We can just finish up on the Cam point and then, But
Yeah, for sure. Ready? So, what if he did this? Okay. He was a former D1 athlete. He could have made the pitch that his threat level was low because he didn't want to do anything this summer. He just wanted to chill. You guys thought he couldn't win a comp?
He was throwing them.
He was a D1 athlete. He threw everything. And when I needed to win in the final 4 and the final 3, I won. That's it. The problem is he didn't do any of those things.
No.
He stunk. He just actually stunk.
He was just bad.
So that ruined all of that. But if I'm Vinny, I'm like, hey, you got out all the imposing men immediately. You got out Zay immediately. You got out Adrian immediately. You got out Zach. And they didn't all need big muscles and whatnot like Keanu.
Riley, yeah.
Over there and Riley. But they were influential. They were good at comps. I was good at comps this whole time. I've won 4, at that time, probably 5 HOHs. I won a veto. You guys thought because I cried a lot that I wasn't a good competitor and you kept me around? You thought she was running my HOH? No, I didn't want the blood on my hands. I wanted you guys to see me as a weak little rat that I am, Vinny the Lip that I am, that you bought it the whole time. And I think eventually there will be a player that is good enough to pull off one of these, unusual suspect endings,
Awesome speeches that,
right.
Hey, gotcha moments. Like, hey, I was doing this the whole time. You didn't know. Yeah.
Don't think we're going to get that. But I think if he was able to pull that off, maybe we were. Maybe he could pull something out. But I'm not buying it.
Yeah, real quick, because I do have to run. Do you think that in a final 2 speech, if Morgan reveals that she's a gamer, will that will the jury's mind just explode and be like, "Oh my God, we were playing with a gamer the whole time. I can't believe
On
it."
Twitch or Kick, they asked.
Are you kidding me? On Twitch or Kick?
Real quick, before we wrap up, Mike.
What a reveal.
Winner pick right now, go.
My winner pick is Morgan over Vinny. I believe she'll take him with him. I believe she will take him to final 2 with her, and I believe Ashley gets the boot at 3rd. And I actually, even if Vince wins HOH, I believe he takes Morgan and Morgan beats him. I think it's Morgan over Vince.
I have Morgan over Ava. I think she cuts him off last second.
Whoa, Ava!
Yeah, I think she takes the GOAT.
That would be an awesome ending.
I think that's why she's around. I think that's why she's been planting the seeds. I think it's all leading.
She's gonna cut him at final 3.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
So, Mike, we had a great time. Again, listen to our sports podcast before this, The Gurus. This was a Gurus on Big Brother special. We're going to be doing more of these.
Yes.
Big Brother, Survivor, all that. Survivor's in just a few days, so we'll try to do something like that as well. So, yeah, great time. We apologize. You're going to see some, audio issues here. You're going to see some stuff that we patched up. Don't blame us. Blame the mics. They're terrible. But anyway, I'm X. I got that right this time. That is Mike. I got that right this time, and we will see you next time.